Here's Corin.
There we go.
Hey, is that Troy? What's up, buddy? Come on over and let's have a good time. Video. Right. Love America tour. Switzing all over the country.
A little bit.
How are you, man? I'm
Doing
Corin.
good. Nice to meet you. I'm Troy. Razzle.
Troy, my man. He's helped us out quite a bit since we got to Arkansas, and that's a lot of what. Sorry for all the noise. This vehicle will pass by shortly, I promise. Anyhow, it's going to be a little noisy. You're going to have to bear with us, but we'll speak loudly. But he's helped us out tremendously. Set us up with Austin, who was over at the Zipline tour, and that was a great time. And he took us into town, took us out to dinner last night, and we went to a great Ecuadorian restaurant. Stuffed ourselves to the guild and caught up and just talked and got to know each other.
It's been fun.
Yeah, so now I'd like these folks to get to know you a little bit better too, which I really appreciate you giving us your time. Where were you born?
Actually, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Before I was 1 year old, I was living in Harrison, Arkansas.
In Harrison, Arkansas?
Yep.
And so you don't really remember Harrison, Arkansas much?
No, I don't remember Kansas City.
You remember Harrison, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Grew up in Harrison.
Okay, and how long did you live in Harrison for?
Until graduated high school, so 18 years, and then moved out.
Oh, 18 years in one place?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so that's it's strange because a lot of the interviews I've done, there's been a considerable amount of moving around, which has, from what I can tell so far, has a bit of a rough effect.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
and so growing up in a single place that whole time, what was that like?
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just easy going. No, not a lot of ripples. I'm a kind of guy that doesn't cause a lot of ripples.
Yeah.
You know, so it was my mom and dad have been together for, it'll be 51 years this year. So,
Okay.
So they've been consistent.
And how big was that town that you were living in?
It was about 10,000, and now
10,000?
now it's about 13,000. So not a lot of growth.
Yeah, sorry for all the noise, folks. It's one of those days, but we'll get through it, I promise. It's a busy day, very active. A lot of people showing up to enjoy the campgrounds, and that's what it's all about. So if you can bear with us, that would be great. In Harrison, being that small of a town, what was like elementary school life like?
I actually went to a little school just south of Harrison called Valley Springs. And it was the town, I couldn't tell you the population. I don't know if it has a population, about 300 maybe.
Right?
Yeah, and just it's the school, and that's really all that's there. And so I graduated with 54 people. There were 27 guys and 27 girls.
Man, 54 people was the number of people I had in one class at North Hollywood High School in Los Angeles. That's crazy. With that kind of a small town, feel, if you don't mind, I ask you just to speak up a little bit more, just in case. No, it's fine. But with that kind of small town feel, the kind of a Mayberry effect, right?
Yep.
What was life like? Just in general, like what decade were you? What was it for you? Like between 7 and 13?
Yeah,
like,
I grew up. I really say I grew up in the 80s. So all the 80s was kind of the fun stuff for me, and it was. I was little. I mean, I was the smallest guy on the team. If I got on a team, of soccer or baseball or even basketball, I was the runt of the litter. I actually didn't start growing up until start filling out, and I'm not that big either.
Right. Me either.
Until about 26 years old. So,
yeah.
And so in mid-20s, that's kind of when I started, like, actually.
Well, that's being said, being one of the smaller guys around and still wanting to compete and enjoy playing in sports and everything like that. Did you find that you ran into opposition from the bigger, stronger, more athletic or whatever, agile? I don't know.
I just actually I whatever I was doing, I kind of found my niche, and I actually tried to do it the best I could possibly do. And for me, that was playing soccer. My brother
Okay.
was the basketball player and actually was a McDonald's All-American.
Really? That's cool.
And so I didn't really follow in his footsteps because I didn't want to live up to that
Right.
thing. And so I became soccer and loved soccer and competed in that. And I became a very good midfielder, you know.
Right on.
So,
Right on. That's great. So, did that give you you know, a sense of you know what it's like when I played Pop Warner football, it made me feel like I was a part of a team,
Oh, yeah.
and also it made me feel it's hard to, I don't want to say manly.
yeah,
But-
I know what you're saying. It actually it gave me something to really kind of express my athletic ability on.
Exactly.
And it was just it was kind of one of those things where I wanted to make the guys in front of me a lot better,
Yeah.
and I wanted to support the guys behind me. And so I was kind of that middle guy that would feed everybody the ball that needed it,
Yeah.
and also helped where, you know, I could.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
absolutely. That's a great metaphor for life
Yeah.
as well,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
How were you at school? Were you academically proficient or?
I got through school. That was great.
Me too. Me too.
But no, I just middle of the road. Actually, later in my adult life, I kind of come across I have a very weird thing of dyslexia.
Okay. Yeah.
And so public speaking and writing papers was not my thing.
Gotcha.
And it was one of those things that I just kind of refused to do. But around the age of 16, I kind of had this feeling that I was actually going into that genre of life. And,
Sure.
And it's actually kind of scared the daylights out of me.
Wow. well, you know, going back again.
Yeah.
What was it like? What was your home life like? What was with your parents and all that? What was that like?
My brother's 8 years older than me, and so
Uh-huh.
when by the time I started really growing up, he actually was moving out.
Right.
And so home life was, you know, typical mom and dad, and going through high school, it's just, or junior high and high school, it's just mom, dad, and me.
Uh-huh.
And so it's a kind of average, pretty normal little. I mean, nothing.
What did your
nothing
parents
big
do?
deal.
What
My
did
my
they-
dad was a cable man
Uh-huh.
when cable became a big deal in
Sure.
the 80s.
Yeah. That.
And he worked for them for 26 years, I believe. And my mom worked for Levi Strauss for 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What'd she do for Levi Strauss?
She was a supervisor of, you know, making Levi jeans.
That's so
So-
cool. I did a Levi's commercial back in the 80s as a teenager. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was a Lee Jeans commercial. I don't remember.
That's a big
But
difference.
that's a big
Levi's-
difference. I know. It's that's then we'll wash my tongue with some soap. Did you get lots of free jeans?
Every pair of jeans I owned were Levi's. Doesn't matter. I don't know if they were free or not,
Yeah.
but they were Levi's.
It's a great pair of jeans,
Yes,
though.
yeah.
You still wearing Levi's today?
No.
Yeah, these look a little trendier than Levi's.
Yeah.
Having your parents stay together and be there like that as a stable, you know, a stable datum. Was that? Do you think that was beneficial to you in life, having both your parents remain together?
Yeah, it was.
And they got along good?
Yeah, they got along. I mean, we as a family, we always had those
It
ups
happens.
and downs and stuff like that. But overall, there was never a question about, you know, what's going to happen if mom left, or what would
Yeah.
happen if dad left. That I don't think that was ever on the table.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a stable family.
Did your parents have a kind of a spiritual spine to life as well that they that they brought you up in?
I grew up in church.
Uh-huh.
Actually, you know, the old preacher joke is I had a drug problem. I was drugged to church when I was a baby. I was drugged to church while I was a kid. I was drugged to church while I was in high school. So, you know, that the spiritual side of stuff was a very large part of my life.
And did you find it a challenging experience? Because some people who grew up in a household that had, you know, a strong affiliation with a church or religious group or whatever, some of them battled between, you know, what maybe their social scene or whatever was suggesting versus what they were growing up with. Did you ever go through anything like that?
Yeah, that was pretty much my social scene is church and spiritual stuff. If the doors were open, we were there, and we were kind of the family that we were there before to open up, and we were there after to close everything down.
There's some great life lessons in that.
Yeah.
At any time during that time period, where, you know, did you feel, did it feel burdensome having to do all of that, or was it an exciting part of it? Or
well, it was just a pretty normal part of our life. It never, I didn't question it at that point. I wasn't questioning anything like that.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't until later in high school I kind of, you know, started going, well, what's this really about? You know. But I was going off to college and Bible college, and so that's what I was supposed to do. And that's when I started really kind of going, okay, why do we do the things that we do? And it was pretty amazing that kind of that journey that has brought me, that I took through all that.
Yeah.
Is kind of crazy. I've met my wife in college, and we ended up getting married, and neither one of us had a job.
Right.
And so we're starting this life out with nothing, and it was just we pulled over on the side of the road in Springfield, Missouri. In fact, and I know you're heading that way.
Yeah.
But Springfield, Missouri, we pulled over to the side of the road, and we just said, "Okay, God, where do you want us to go?" And we kind of felt the push towards her hometown, actually, in Doniphan, Missouri.
Okay.
We talked about small. It's smaller than where I grew up.
Wow.
And so we headed that way and started our life together in a little bitty town called Doniphan, Missouri.
That's fantastic. Do you think that there's some benefits to growing up in a small town environment?
Yeah, there is, because I mean, you get to know people and you get to kind of have those relationships.
Strong sense of community.
Strong sense of community and stuff like that. When I moved away, I really did move away for. I felt like it was for good.
Right.
And I didn't hold on to any of those relationships that I had in high school and stuff. Just a few years ago, we actually moved back to Harrison just for a couple of years, and some of those relationships actually sprang back together.
Oh, that's great.
And so it was interesting, you know. But you know, Facebook came around and
yes.
connections, and the former classmates actually saw. Yeah.
Let's wait on that.
Yeah. Anyway, former classmates, we actually saw that we were. I was back in town, and so we started making a few connections like that.
Great. What was when you were coming out of high school? What did you have an idea for your life at that point? Did you have a goal set for yourself in terms of what you wanted to achieve?
Yeah. The main thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to travel the world and live in the jungle. That's really kind of what I wanted to do, and then I met my wife, of course, and things changed and reality kind of set in. I can't really do that.
Right.
And actually, I just felt this need and this calling to teach teenagers.
Okay.
And what I found, like a lot of teenagers, especially back in the mid '90s and
early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s, is like that mentor, that person that would be in their life would move constantly.
Right.
You know, anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, they would be in their life and then out. So it was my goal, wherever I went to get a job, and of course it was a church-related job.
Yeah.
And my goal was to be there.
Yeah.
And to be that guy through their high school years.
Yeah.
You know, if it's junior high, to stay there through all the way through. And sometimes that was accomplished, sometimes it wasn't.
Sure. Well, on the mentoring thing, because I believe that mentors are extremely important, and there's been some really good stories about the mentorship and how it had a profound effect on people's lives who didn't have somebody to look up to in certain areas. You know, did you have a mentor outside of your father when you were in high school and all of that they kind of gave you this idea?
No, not in high school. Actually, I didn't really find a mentor until I got into my first full-time job.
Okay.
And a guy, his name's Richard Goebel, and another guy named Steve Harney. These guys were probably about 10 to 15 years older than I was, and they kind of showed me the ropes. And I remember Richard telling me, he goes, you know, you're going to learn a lot. I'm not saying you're going to learn everything that's going to be good. He just said you're going to learn a lot. And he actually walked through some tough times with us. And,
Yeah.
and he's a lifelong friend. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
Even now, you know. And we really wanted to go see him this summer. They live out in East Tennessee, and of course, the way life has hit,
Yeah.
we couldn't really go during that time.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
when we
Yeah.
could go, it was right at the beginning of all this COVID stuff.
Yes,
So
yes,
we
I
were-
understand.
It was kind of like lockdown,
Yeah.
shut down, everything. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It did. Well, has that affected you work-wise the last 6-7 months?
Yeah, it has. It's, you know, now I'm not so much in the church job. I'm actually a volunteer pastor.
Okay.
Where the church that I go to now is the Gospel Light here in Hot Springs.
Uh-huh.
But then I was a food service director for a Christian college
Okay.
here in town. And during this time, it's actually, the crazy thing is, it's actually made me and my wife closer and tighter. And we've been through a lot together, but this last few months have been really undisguised, unrealized blessing for us.
Right.
Because we got to spend a whole lot more time together than instead of running our separate directions.
That's interesting because I interviewed a guy named Mike in Austin who he was on the brink of divorce right before all of this hit, and when the lockdown happened and all that, when they started, it made them look at their relationship in a very different light, and they ended up getting back together.
Well, that's cool.
You know, so. And also in light of that too, you know, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for this extended, you know, shutdown and the effect it had on my career and my business, and then wanting to, you know, and then with the influx of news that was coming in, you know, just they kept saying that, you know, that this was a negative type of a country. I don't want to use certain terminology because I just want to steer clear of it, but that the people in this country, you know, aren't good people somehow on average, you know, is sort of this narrative I kept seeing, and I'm just like, you know, I want to get out and prove that wrong by actually meeting normal, everyday, regular folks, which I consider myself that as well. Other people go, oh, you're an actor, you're a blue check guy, you know, we looked you up, you're worth millions. No, I'm not. I'm worth less than this RV is worth, but that said, when, you know, having come together like that, what do you see for your future now? You've been very successful in raising kids. You got a great son. I mean, just a great son. That's a badge of honor I would wear proudly.
Appreciate it.
And you know, but looking at things right now, do you have an idea about what the future may hold?
Actually,
or what the plans might be?
Yeah, my goal right now is, like I said earlier during that, I found that niche of being that guy who will support the guys in front and pull up the people behind, or help defend the people behind. I kind of find myself doing that now, and that's what I love to do. I love to serve people and be with people.
Yeah.
And that's why when Austin got a hold of you, and I just said, "Can I be a part of it?" That's
so
all.
cool, man.
I just want to do anything to help and serve you guys. It's just because there's a question that was posed to me several years ago.
Yeah.
That was called. The question is, "What does love require of you?" You know, the love was poured out for me, and that was actually through God, that He gave His Son, and it was poured out. All His life was poured out on the cross for me. What can I do because of that?
Yeah.
And so that has been a question that I've wrestled with for years, and truly over the last few months, we always put that in front of us, going, what does love require? What, you know, we see somebody in need, what do I need to do to make sure they are taken care of.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a interesting thing. And there's a great book by Bob Goff.
No, I'm not familiar
with him. It just Love Does.
Okay.
And it's a phenomenal book, and I read it about a year ago. And
Yeah.
it's just been kind of our direction. But our future is whatever God has for us. And like I said, we're both my wife and I, we volunteer right now, and
Yeah.
I'm used to getting paid for being on staff at
Sure,
church.
sure.
But right now we don't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's what God really wants us to do, and how we can influence people that we're around.
Right.
And we want to make sure that happens. And
I-
be taken care of.
I love that, and on that note, if you look at your life as a whole in the arc, if you could recommend to anyone else in terms of some advice that might be useful in life to go through all of the times that you've gone through and everything like that, what kind of advice might you be able to provide?
The biggest thing is get to know yourself. Be confident in who you are. That's something that I pretty much still struggle with, but overall, I know down deep who I am.
Yeah.
And when I have that relationship with God, and here we go again.
Yeah. They're doing their rounds.
Yes. But when I have that relationship with God, and I know it's a solid thing, and I can't do anything to change that relationship, just as my son cannot do anything to change my relationship with him.
Yeah.
Now, he might tick me off and everything else, but he's still my son.
Absolutely.
And so when I finally got that settled, and from that point on, it's been a growth ever since. I mean, even we've gone through, like I said, really hard times.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been devastating.
Yeah.
They've been they suck, but they don't destroy us, because we know who we are. And in doing that, and also just making sure that you're serving other people.
Yeah.
My goodness, it actually brings you more energy when you serve someone else. So
That's very true. And on that note, because I like to clinch these up on a message like that. Being of service is essential, and I hope that I'm being of service as well,
Yes.
in some way, shape, or form. And everybody else out there, if you can be of service to someone else in your life, I think they're doing it on purpose at this point.
Yes.
If you can be of service to someone in your life, be a mentor to someone in your life, take the time out and do it, right?
Right, absolutely. I love it. Love
Right
being
on.
there. Thank
My
you
man,
so much.
Troy. Wow.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Another great story. Love America tour. All right, my man. Love you, buddy. Fantastic. Fantastic to meet you as well.